Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here for Boss Sports. Boss is where black men control the conversation. And basically, the brothers at Boss Sports asked me to kind of say something in terms of sharing thoughts about the recent shooting that occurred at Auburn University. There were several football players who were killed as a result of the shooting, which happened at a party. And here's what goes through my mind when I see this kind of thing go down. My first thought is that obviously it's a tragedy. Obviously it's unfortunate. Obviously it's hurtful to read this story. It literally broke my heart. Most of the victims were 19, 20 years old. When I think about my own life at that age, I hadn't even begun to live yet. I lived a little bit. I thought I'd lived a lot, but really I hadn't when I compare it to all the things that happened after that. And so it really bothers me that these young men lost their lives so early, and may they rest in peace. Now, the second thought that comes to mind is that as we are, as a country, protesting the loss of black male life at the hands of police, I think we also must protest. We also must mourn the many, many more lives that are lost at the hands of other black men. I don't think that talking about one issue has to do anything with the other, but I think that anybody who cares about protecting black men, protecting black boys, has to somehow connect to this issue of protecting black men from the violence that exists from other black men. Now, if you want to understand where this comes from, a lot of this does root right back to white supremacy for a couple of reasons. Number one, most of these guns that brothers use to kill each other are not made by black people. They're not delivered by black people. They're not sold by black people initially. They may be sold eventually by a black person, but the manufacturer of these guns tends to be companies that are owned by white folks that are making money from our genocide. In Chicago, Father Michael Flager led a protest at a gun shop in the suburbs that was supplying a lot of the guns that were being used in Chicago for all the killings that are taking place. And when he tried to hold this protest, his life was threatened by members of the NRA and just crazy people who literally realized they were going to start losing money if the genocide stopped. So when you stop things like that at the root, you're in jeopardy because you are undermining somebody's cash flow. So just be clear, there are people, individuals who are making a killing, making millions of dollars from the deaths of young black men and also from the incarceration of young black men. I always say that when a black boy is born in America, there are two things that are built for him. One is a prison cell, the other one is a casket. And so we have to protect our sons from this tragedy. The second phenomenon that I've seen is this continuous glorification within media, particularly within music, of the mindset that creates the environment in which a lot of these homicides occur. And I'm talking about going to the club, getting drunk, getting high, throwing up bottles, carrying your gun. In fact, Lil Wayne has a song where he says "always strapped when I hit the club," basically saying when I go to the club, I always have a gun. So when you mix media, violent music, with people going to clubs with weapons and alcohol involved, what happens is you have situations that get out of control very quickly because they're very hyper masculine environments. Guys are fighting over females, guys are fighting over ego and territory and pride and all this other stuff, and they end up doing things they end up regretting. So I feel just as sorry as sorry as I feel for the victims. I also feel sorry for the young man who was convinced by the world, by media, by life that he was a thug and felt compelled to resolve his dispute with another black man by pulling out a gun, squeezing that trigger, and putting a bullet in his head. Understand, this is all an environment that is created. This is a universe that is created within the mind of a black male, starting from the time he's born, when he's looking at videos on television, listening to music on the radio that's telling him you ain't nothing but a thug. Think about Bobby Shmurda when he's sitting on the video doing this. What's he talking about? He's talking about, I'll pop a nigga in the head if he makes me mad. And so effectively that's what you're dealing with right now, is you're dealing with this, what I would call a killer nigga mentality that is pervasive all throughout media. Now people think, oh well Dr. Bush, you're blaming hip hop for everything. No, I'm not blaming hip hop, because hip hop ain't got nothing to do with this shit on the radio. That stuff on the radio is not hip hop music. It is some bastardized white supremacist form of music that has a black face on it, so you somehow think that they are your friend. But if you listen carefully with a critical mind, and see, most people don't have critical minds. Most people don't think. That's why they get away with this crap. If you listen with a critical mind and you understand the power that music has when it comes to sinking into your subconscious and affecting the way you think, affecting the way you resolve disputes, affecting the way you pursue relationships with the opposite sex, it affects almost everything you do. You'll understand that a person, a young child who is listening to the continuous messages that are being sent to him through media will never get, almost hardly ever get any information that is empowering to him. Because a black man will never succeed in his life if he's always living in a liquor bottle, if he's always getting high whenever he can, if he's always carrying a gun trying to kill another black man, if he's always in the club throwing up his money and throwing it away, giving it away to these expensive European brands that will never hire black people in a million years. He's never going to get ahead when he's taught to go have sex with every girl in the world, to the point where he's a diseased man with 14 babies, mamas, and a gang of child support. He will never prosper if he embraces the mindset that is being continuously promoted to young black men through media. So I'm not saying hip hop killed these kids. I'm not saying that hip hop squeezed the trigger, but hip hop certainly created the mindset of the individual who squeezed that trigger. And when I'm talking about hip hop again, and in fact, I need to fix my words real quick, because I said hip hop. I'm not talking about the meaningful hip hop. I'm not talking about guys like Immortal Technique or Jasiri X, or what Chuck D used to do, or Lupe Fiasco. I'm not talking about intelligent hip hop. I'm not talking about D1 down in New Orleans. I'm talking about this crap that we're hearing on the radio that is teaching young black men that we should be dumb enough to sing and dance to the beat of our own genocide. Because I swear, if I see another story about another black man being shot at the club, arrested at the club, getting into a fight at the club, I'm gonna go crazy. Because somehow, some way, we have allowed people to create a culture where the expression of black masculinity has to involve guns and clubbing and hoeing and drinking and all this other stuff. No, manhood is built on integrity, responsibility, hard work, setting your goals, caring about your community, standing up as a warrior for the people that you care about. That's manhood. This other crap, I don't know what that is, and that ain't got nothing to do with me. It ain't got nothing to do with what black men are supposed to be. So, once again, the young brothers at Auburn, rest in peace. They died too soon. It was unnecessary, and we gotta dig. If we're going to progress as a community, if we're going to make this right, we have to be honest in this conversation. If we are not going to be honest, if we're going to somehow think that police are the only ones murdering these black boys, then we will never make progress, because we'll be sitting around waiting for the liberals to save us, and that's just not going to work. So that's all I got to say. I'm done. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Please take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.